Welcome to Prismacast S09. We're the podcast that talks about art through contemporary and historical means. Invented by Sir Isaac Newton in 1706, the color wheel actually predates the United States. He did this by refracting white light into its 6 colors. There's your fun fact for the day. Enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Prismacast. Woo-hoo. How you doing, Michael?
I'm good. How are you doing, Kris?
I'm complicated. I'm good. I got a martini that I don't enjoy right now, but I'm also smelling a candle that I do enjoy.
So what's the scent of the candle you do enjoy, and why is gin not happening right now?
So gin, because I've been on a whiskey kick since I was 21. Mm-hmm.
Okay, felt like you had to plug that real hard. Okay, keep going.
Guys. Tullamore, make it happen. We'll sponsor, or I'll sponsor, and then everyone else can sit quietly while I get drunk on a podcast. Now, I've been just drinking a lot of old fashions, and I thought, like, you're getting stuck in your ways, and I had some gin, so I made a martini, and I either made it bad or I don't like martinis. I went based off of the cocktail chart that I have on my little shaker thing.
I don't know how reliable those are, but I don't know how not reliable they are either. I have one, but I just drink out. I'm not a very good home drinker. I know it's way cheaper, but I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm not helpful.
I don't drink at home to be cheaper. Like, I drink at home because I'm inevitably drowning something. And it's fine. But the candle is it is cinnamon pumpkin waffle. Is part of that Bath and Body Works $9 3-wick candle sale. And I went there and I gave them probably too much of my money. But it was $15 off candles. So how's a girl supposed to say no to that?
But no, say the scent again.
Cinnamon pumpkin waffle. Or pumpkin cinnamon waffles. Those 3 words are in that candle title. And then it's got like a deer on it.
Waffles. Okay.
And it's got flannel. It's very adorable. But I stuck it in like my candle votive that says happy fucking holidays.
So it smells like doughy cinnamon. Okay. I guess that's and pumpkin.
When you say it like that, when you say doughy.
I just don't. I guess I'm not a pumpkin fan. Let's get that out the way. Pumpkin spice is not my thing. So
you're white girling incorrectly.
I know.
Oh, man.
I do it so poorly.
So what is your go-to? What is your go-to scent then?
Yeah, I love anything like coffee. Like, I love coffee shops because they just infuse my soul with the aroma. So I will buy anything that's coffee. I don't even care. And I really like floral scents. That's what I always buy for perfumes. So I don't think I've ever... When I was in middle school, I really liked peach and orange. Those were my 2 favorite. Like, everything that I bought was either peach or orange. I think I had just I liked the color orange at the time, and so that's why I bought things that were orange. But that might have just been, a weird thing.
I would say that, peach is very much, to me, like a high school scent.
It is.
Like, you got
it. It is. And what is it? Cucumber? What? Cool. No. What was the cucumber one? Cucumber melon? It would be, cucumber melon.
Everybody
had cucumber melon shit.
Oh,
it was awful.
I can't wear floral stuff like that because I feel like on my pheromones or whatever, it smells like cat pee on me, and
no.
So I
feel
typically
that.
So and it's I don't want to go around smelling like my cat's litter box.
I get that.
I do more spicy scents. So I love the original opium by
Ooh.
Estee Lauder. No, is it Estee Lauder? No, YSL. Yves Saint Laurent.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. It's super spicy, and that seems to work with like my armpits or whatever. It's good.
The only things that I don't really appreciate, I think, would be the more musky tones. Anything that drops down that low, I don't really pick up on. So it's all one wash to me. So it doesn't really make sense.
We're like the yin and yang of each other's body odors.
Yeah, but it makes sense because we're yin and yangs in general, I feel. So
we are, which is great.
Yeah, like even my husband, he's the exact opposite. He's the polar opposite of my identity. So I think that's
it's true. Whenever
really
you say something, I don't know if I'm allowed to say your husband's name. I'll just say your husband.
I've called him Andrew multiple times. So
okay. I don't know. Yeah, like anytime you mention Andrew and you're like, yeah, Andrew doesn't like quintessential thing that you love. I'm like, how the fuck do you guys? What do you talk about?
Everything.
Sit in a room in silence.
Sometimes we do. Last night we bought so we're in Japan now, and so we went out and we our household goods won't be here for like another 4 or 5 weeks. So we went ahead and bought futons, so Japanese futons. So we are sleeping on the floor with little mattress pads. And the first night we didn't buy the core mattress pad. We thought we had bought everything, and we got home and nope, we had bought everything else. So it was one hard floor night. It was rough. But then the next day we bought what we actually needed. And so last night it was very nice, but we really, embraced the lifestyle. Why am I talking about this? Oh, we embraced the lifestyle real hard. But afterwards, like, we were exhausted because we had gone to the store, we had hung out with friends, we were like, it was a real good day, but it was a real long day. So we just sat and we caught up on our phones. So we're facing each other, and our phones are like right in each other's faces, facing each other. Like, it was really So we went out and we did shit and we had a good day and we talked, but then we didn't really talk to each other. We just came home, collapsed, and looked at our phones. And it was like,
that is
you could have painted that. And, it would have been.
Is exactly how I imagine your marriage. Like, you have this, you probably think it's endearing, but I find it truly hilarious. You have this family portrait on Facebook that's like you with little baby Ace and Andrew, and you are like beaming, and Andrew is staring like deadpan into the screen like Zoolander.
He hates it. That is his blue steel gaze. You are right.
Oh my god,
it's so bad. He hates photos so badly. It is so. It's rough. Like, our engagement photos, I had to like coerce him into smiling. So it's been since we started it. And even with selfies when we were dating, if you go back in those, he's not smiling in any of them at all. And so our marriage photos, he kind of has like this half smile thing, which I take as a win, or took as a win at the time. But the only ones that he really smiles in are candid shots. Like, if you can get candid shots of him, he's smiling all the time. He's cracking jokes all the time. It's just, he hates like posing for things. Like, it's his least favorite.
Yeah, that definitely does not read in the photography, because
nope, it looks like he hates his life. And I'm like, people are going to see this and they're going to think that you hate our family. Like, this is not, this isn't good.
Definitely has this like, I've made a terrible mistake.
Yes,
I'm going to murder them in their sleep.
And it's like a newborn baby. You haven't seen this photo. We're holding our newborn son and he's like grimacing, like, no, bad choices.
Yeah, it's like a week after the hospital or something.
It's like an ad campaign for like
child-free
1 out
life.
of 10 would not recommend children to another. It's bad.
10 out of 10 dentists do not recommend child rearing. Man,
it's just bad.
Yeah,
it's just bad.
So, what are we going to talk about today, Michael K?
Today we're talking about why art matters, and we actually might have William pop on and talk about he has a really cool company that he started called Boise Christmas Lights, and I think he's going to talk about that for a little bit with us if he's down for it. But generally, I think this is a really important topic to go into, especially considering the season, gift giving is why are we giving out art supplies? Why are we doing all these things? And it's to better art and to approach art or life in an artistic way. So I just really felt the need that while we're talking about Christmas and gift giving and all of these things that are visual, that are assaulting our senses during this holiday season, we, step back and say, okay, this is all art, and why? Why is it important? So,
yeah, I agree. The art season, the holiday season is. Yeah, because I was thinking the holiday season is why we need to talk about it, and to me, I'm like, the political climate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It touches on every single component of life. Like, art is the one thing that goes across all boundaries, regardless. So it's really interesting to me to talk about why it's such a huge motivator for so many different concepts. So we're really not approaching this from any one angle this week. We're just kind of talking kind of a stream of consciousness, I would think, today, to kind of figure out why is art important and how can you add to the conversation. And once again, we do have our email open, so if anybody wants to send us anything or talk about this topic further or add any of your, talking points or how you feel about why art matters that we didn't maybe get to throughout this episode, definitely email us.
Yeah, be the first person to email us, guys, besides Anchor.
Besides Anchor.
We're getting a lot of Anchor emails, and I know that people listen because we finally have 2 reviews, which are lovely.
Yes, I feel like we need more. So if you have a spare moment, feel free to rate us and review because we need that too. But the email is open. It's prismacasters@gmail.com. If you want to add your voice to this segment, we'll throw it in on our website and get you going. So
yeah, tell us why art matters to you.
So I'd
love to hear that.
I feel like art should matter to everybody. I feel this core, in my depth. It's so important. Art is one of those things that it's hard to tack down. So art has very many different facets. And if you've listened to our podcast, we've talked about pop and we've talked about all sorts of goody things, but we're not gonna go that specific to different artists, different movements, although we might brush into those a little bit. I might have just lied. I definitely think it's one of those things that it's everywhere. It's everywhere you look. It's in the tiles in your bathroom sometimes. Most of the time. Somebody made that tile. Some machine that somebody built made that tile. When you go down the street, somebody designed that stop sign that you stopped at. The light fixture in your house. Maybe you bought a really cool one that you bought at TJ Maxx. Maybe you just had a dome-shaped one that was in your apartment when you moved in. And regardless, those were designed by somebody. Those were made to be aesthetically pleasing. A stop sign. I don't think that's pleasing. I think it's supposed to be jarring, but we'll move on.
I think, ooh, man, I can't wait till we get into semiotics, because...
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. We should do that for an episode.
God, you know how much I love semiotics.
You do. You talk about it all the time. She talks about it all the time, guys. Can't get her shut up about semiotics.
Guys, semiotics. If you want to get a lady boner off this chick, talk about universal symbols. Boom.
Universal symbols. We'll talk about those later, though. We're just talking about average, aesthetically pleasing things in daily life. But when you go to a hotel room, people bought the art that is on the walls. That was a choice that the hotel that you went to, that was a choice that they made to make the place have a certain feel or a certain tone. And you do the same thing in your home when you go out and you buy art or you buy sculpture, anything aesthetic, anything that might have a functional purpose or just a decorative purpose. You made a choice in what kind of art you wanted to select, because in a lot of ways, all of these things have art-related tones. So I love the idea of how infused art is in everything. The chair you're sitting in or the couch that you're sitting on. All of it has so much to do with art and design. And it's so important to me that we go back and we give each one of these tallies that we look at every day its own due diligence and say, oh, someone did this, oh, someone did that, and we kind of give it a little bit of a head nod, even if we don't know who made it or we don't know when they made it. It's still something that we're like, that was a choice that somebody made at one time, not only to design it but to install it somewhere. So I think that that's really important and needs to be addressed.
No, it is very much, it's the spice of life is how I think of it, because I'm trying to find the book, but it's a book that is about design and how we are pretty much in the most flexible point for aesthetics in probably human history ever. Mm-hmm. Because it's not, it made like a specific example, like about a toaster. And so a lot of people think like, oh, you just go in, you get a fucking toaster. No, you don't, because they have mastered toasting technology that you can now decide if you want your toaster to be pink or green, or if you want it to be shaped like a pig, or if you want it to be shaped like a big piece of fucking toast. Or if you're like, I would like today's technology in a toaster, but like in a toaster that has the aesthetics from the 50s, because I really love that mid-century modern look. Mm-hmm. And I want to put all of my money in that, because I've had conversations with people where they're going, it's like, well, why did you go to school for this? That seems like a waste. Like, you're not mm-hmm. going to make money. No one cares about that. Or like, you should be doing something useful. And they're sitting there and they're wearing like Mona Lisa with a mustache for a graphic t-shirt. I'm like, but your shirt, sir. But your shirt, sir. It has cat ears. And you're telling me that you give zero fucks about art and you are drenched in any... It didn't have cat ears, but it did have like, it was pretty cool actually. It was like a Andy Warhol like print thing of Mona Lisa, but then it had like mustaches. And
see, this just goes back to the novelty. Like, you can make old stuff new again just by making it in a different style, which I think is adorable. But it's super funny that like it's coming out of a mouth. It's just ironic, I guess. It's just ironic that they don't, like, people aren't looking, or, well, they're looking, but they're not seeing, I think was, what was the article that we kept going back to? The importance of seeing?
Are you asking me a thing that I remember specifically? Because
nope.
You are
okay,
asking
never mind.
A lot.
Okay, never mind. There's this interpretation when we go into art that everybody addresses or tries to explain to you, and it's the difference between looking and seeing. If you look at something, you look at it on a surface level, you're like, oh, that exists. But if you're seeing something, you're delving into the reason it exists. And so it's really, a lot of art is seeing, not just looking. And a lot of life is hard because you're trying to see while also trying to look. And I know that as art makers, we're very fond of saying, oh, well, I see that, or, oh, that's really cool, or, oh, I understand that. But a lot of people who aren't art makers, they haven't had that faucet turned on. They're not like, I don't understand because I haven't been taught to see, per se.
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of galleries and museums recently with people who dub themselves like art illiterate. And
yes. It's so sad.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it, guys. I believe in you.
But the thing is, I think people underestimate themselves, like going into a museum mm-hmm. and going through an exhibition, because I was with someone last night who kept saying, like, I wish there was an artist statement here because I don't know what any of this means. And I was like, well, that, to me in my head, I'm like, that's a choice. They want us to take anything that we fucking want from it. This mm-hmm. is great. Because I am one of those people who very much reads the artist statement at the end rather than the beginning, because I like to go into it cold, see what my thoughts are, and then like go to them like, oh, okay, that's interesting, or I totally got that, or wow, I had no fucking clue that that's what this was. And a lot of people are reading too far into it and being in a room with like abstract like wood constructs and so like building materials out of building materials and going like, I don't know what this means, and I feel like I'm not a part of this. And it's like, not necessarily. You're allowed to just be in it and enjoy the experience, because that is also part of it. Like there's a whole movement where there's large paintings that scale the size of a wall, and its job is to immerse you in an environment, not to say like, this is what this white painting means.
I agree. I also think a lot of times people think that art is a puzzle, and I often kind of equate it to a puzzle. Each work is an individual puzzle, and how many pieces is how many pieces you want it to be. Like, if you want to put together a 300-piece puzzle, you can put together a 300-piece puzzle, and you can still get a pretty awesome experience looking at art. But if you want a 1,000-piece puzzle, and that's something you want to invest time in, you can sit there and you can make that thing a 1,000-piece puzzle. It is up to you. It is in your brain. But it's kind of what you want to put into it. And I think that is the really cool relationship with art. It's the same thing with your everyday objects, you know. Do you want to stare at your lamp and figure out how many pieces are in that puzzle? Like, do you want to sit there and spend your time being like, oh, that lamp's really cool. I wonder who designed it. Ooh, I wonder when they designed it. Ooh.
And there are certainly people who do that.
There are people who do that. I have met them. They are awesome, but they are also weird. So, you know, we're all weird. But that is something that's really, really unique to do. But you make the puzzle size. That is something that you do throughout the day. And I'm just... It's just beautiful. But that doesn't explain why it's important, per se. Like, that just explains that it's around us and that everything that we look at is a choice that we select. We choose to go to a museum, or we choose not to. Like, we choose to look at these everyday objects as objects to art, or we choose not to. So it's kind of... It's a choice. But, Kris, why does art matter? Why is it important?
To me, the most, I wouldn't say the most ancient job of... Actually, we could go back to...
We could.
I'll fucking go there. So to me, the quintessential job of art is to educate. And I think of that as like the Caves of Lascaux, which, for those of you who don't know, there are these caves in France that they're cave paintings. Mm-hmm. So it's what you've seen with like they're like blowing paint around the hand, so it's got like handprints. You have like bloated buffaloes and horses and like stick men. They're cave paintings that got discovered in France. So those are the Caves of Lascaux. But it's not just in France. They're everywhere. And they don't know for sure what their job is, but they think that it was to educate other nomads in the area of like, these are the animals, these are the plants that were here. And just so you know, here's my handprint because I fucking made this horse. And I mean, half a thumb's missing. So I'm half thumb guy. I'm an artist.
I'm half thumb guy.
I'm half thumb guy.
That's
or
good.
Man with half thumb. Man with half thumb.
Okay.
So I think that's why it matters. And I think that's why it matters today. And what I am noticing is a lot of people are forgetting that that's its job. Going from like cave paintings, educating like the flora and fauna in an area, to educating the masses on their religion. Like that is what a lot of church work is. And in mosques, it's scripture or it's paintings from the Old Testament. And like that is what the Sistine Chapel is. It's explaining the entire... Oh God, I'm going to be very embarrassed if I get this right. Get this wrong. I think it's just the Old Testament. Like it's going from the creation of Eve. No, because then it goes to like the resurrection. So it's just kind of like, it's educating you on Christianity, guys.
I was like, I don't even know. I was like, I thought there was a Revelations chapter that was illustrated, but I don't know. I don't remember. It's been so long, and I've never visited. I'm sorry. That's true.
Yeah, I don't think specifically Revelations in there, like the whole thing with like the 4 horsemen, but it definitely ends with Christ coming back, and you have like the good souls going with him, and you got the sad souls going down to the bottom with Satan. But it does start with like Adam and Eve and like the fish man. Oh God, fish man.
You can just say creation of Adam, and that's what's good. I think everybody's with you.
I just remember the fish man who gets eaten by the fish. Whatever. And now there's a lot of times. Okay, this is neither here nor there. I'm rambling.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at you because I feel like you're so thorough. Your brain won't let it go, and I adore you, Kris. Let's give a round of applause to Kris for being so thorough with her Sistine Chapel
mind.
Remembrance. Yes, and her beautiful mind. Yes. Okay.
If you have a chance, you should go. It's religious. Even if you're not religious, you'll cry. It's great. But what I hear a lot now is a lot of people talking about like musicians and painters and athletes of like, they shouldn't be expressing their opinions. They shouldn't be talking about politics or what they believe, because that's not their job. Their job is just to make music or to just paint. And to me, I'm like, well, that's the original point of all of this. It's supposed to help you understand where other people are coming from. It's supposed to educate you on other perspectives. And I think we're losing that a little bit.
I agree. I do think that there was a cultural shift, though. There was like a normative shift. And maybe it happened with the abstract expressionists. Maybe it didn't. But I feel like at some point it swapped. And from education, it became entertainment only. And that's what painting became, and that's what art, and that's what theater, and that's what everything became. It was like it was meant for aesthetically pleasing and to assault your senses into a happy whirl, and that was its job, and that was it. So at some point, I would
say there's definitely pockets like that for sure. Yeah.
Yes. But, and there's always been a tangent of education throughout everything. And I still think even if you're entertaining, you can still educate. Like it's not like they were mutually exclusive and there was like a dramatic, like a wall went up and then it all of a sudden became art is only entertainment. That is what it's for. No, it's never been an assault for one or the other. It's kind of always been like a moody kind of drifting, I feel, through phases of art making. But yeah, it definitely transcribed into this place where everybody was like, oh, well, you're just making pretty pictures. That's just for me to look at and enjoy. And yeah, art can be an enjoyable experience. It can also be a disturbing experience. There are lots of works that aren't meant to be particularly pleasing to the eyeball. It's meant to shock you into something else, to thinking,
i.e.
to a space.
Most postmodernism, which
a lot of performance art, a lot.
Yeah, I don't think of mostly like performance art with like postmodernism, but that's definitely a huge part.
No, I mean like a separate and apart as a shock factor. Performance art is huge into like pulling you from your sense of self and depositing you in someone else's reality. It's just boom, shift. So for educational purposes, performance art is huge. And just like you said, it's kind of a shift into perspectives. It's let's share how other people think and how others react and how others exist. And I think that's vital. That's a vital note that you're right. We have kind of lost a little bit, but we still have that entertainment value that comes along and like burgeons us where we are looking at pretty things and what do the pretty things mean and why are the pretty things this way, but that's not all it is.
Well, the other thing, because it has the job of education. It can be this pretty thing. I mean, I love Art Deco and Art Nouveau just as much as
so pretty.
For the record, Art Nouveau is that time period right before the turn of the century where you have like I'm trying to think of a thing that a lot of people will recognize. Like I would say like the Coca-Cola, Mucha, but like the Coca-Cola ads I would say are stylized
very
more
much.
Art Nouveau. And then you have like Art Deco, which is like the 20s where it's gold and it's very graphic and it's
angles everywhere.
Angles for days and gold for days, which this girl loves.
Gilded cages everywhere.
I love gold. Shit like that. I love that as much as I love the Renaissance and editorial work, which I think is like editorial work's job is to send a message to grab you in. Mm-hmm. But then I think we also need to point out escapism, because yes, that has been, in my experience, the main point of art recently. It's either like it's going to be movies, or it's going to be a piece of work. It's going to be stand-up. It's going to be something that is distracting you from how stressed you are from reality, because we are in a very stressed out point in life. We're overstimulated. I personally think, over-informed by world events. It's important to be aware and educated of what's going on in the world, but I don't think you need it every second of every day. Like, I've gone to the point now where I have like my 5 minutes NPR news update in the morning, and then on my way home from work, and that's it. I'm not following it 24/7 because it is draining. And I think if you fall into that, where the majority of us do, having art be there as this form of like escapism and just not thinking about any of that for an hour is important too. So it does a lot more. It's educating, it's escaping, it's making our homes gorgeous, it's making us gorgeous, let's be honest.
It is, I do think that another portion of your escapism is the art as therapy, which I feel like has become way more popular now. I did a whole piece our senior year, the year before, so 4 years ago, that was all about Zentangles and how important those are to different sects of people who are trying to deliberately overcome something or come away from a mental place of anxiety. And I thought that was something really cool that had to be talked about. So I did a whole piece about Zentangles, and I just put a sheet up on the wall and segmented it into sections and then left Sharpies everywhere. And a bunch of people just drew, like without prompting. They just came up and they were like, oh, there's a pen here. And I had done a few squares as examples for like different Zentangle patterns that were popular. But art as therapy is so big right now. They use it for people with Down syndrome. They use it to calm and soothe. They use it for elderly people in retirement homes to bring them back to a place of comfort and relaxation. People who are in the workplace and deal with stresses throughout daily life. There are coloring books that are Zentangle ones that are huge in mass market right now. I was gonna say, the easiest access to art therapy 100% is coloring books. Like, they are all over my office because you're allowed to do stuff between calls at my job. And I'll be honest, the content that we have to deal with a lot is heavy shit because we're listening to people's personal lives and needing something, though, while the job itself is kind of autopilot, you still internalize that, and having some form to express that, to get that out, or to just turn off a certain part of your mind and turn on a part that's more alleviating is crucial. And I love that that's part of it. It's definitely like, hey, coloring books ain't just yo kids no mo. No mo. We sold a lot of them when I worked at different craft stores, because they're just so easy as a relaxation medium. It's just, I love it. And I love how that's a small thing that makes a difference. Like, you guys use them between calls. Teachers have them in break rooms and heavy public schools. Yeah, it's just cool to have that access to something so small, but have it mean so much on a normal person's daily impact, not just like a billionaire's daily impact. But like, we're not making $50,000 paintings just to hang in people's expensive ass homes. They're small impact artifacts throughout your day that make a difference on your function. And that is why art's important, I feel.
Yeah, and another part of that, public art projects is something that I was listening to TED Radio Hour, and they had like a whole thing about like how art changes us, and there was one that was talking about public art projects being used to transform rough neighborhoods. So using like painting the buildings like these bright colors and making it an inviting and enjoyable place to be. And there's like, we initially did this as like a one-off, but then there was so much demand for it from other communities. And then once we brought it in, there's like, you would think that was just like, oh yes, it's more enjoyable to go to work now. But they did studies and it did affect people's mental health. They had more, they had brighter outlooks to their futures. And it was just because, someone took some time to paint these buildings a fucking rainbow, and it's great. It's wonderful. And I like that murals and public art projects and a lot of stuff like this. Like there's a lot of, I call like vigilante art, public art that I'm loving that's no longer being considered degenerative graffiti.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Banksy. But I know that there's like a lot of people before Banksy.
There's a lot of people everywhere. We thank you all. But Banksy is the highlight that we all kind of look at as a general standpoint for graffiti art. Sorry. Yeah. And grabbing on top of you, I do think that that's another thing that art has to offer. It generally, it adds and increases the imagination value of a culture so much, because we dare to, I wouldn't say dare to dream, but we dare to imaginate different, that's not even a word. We dare to imagine different places that... You're
wording real good right now.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I feel like I have all the words all the time. Kofifi. So, we use art as a way to create in our brains, and then we bring to life like a lot of the technology that exists today with AI culture. It didn't start off with someone just saying, I'm going to make this machine right now that's a robot and will vacuum up your house when you're away and will map out a grid-like pattern in order to get every nook and cranny of your kitchen and dining room and living room. Like, someone didn't just sit down and said, I'm going to do this today. There have been robots that have been used as cleaning apparatuses in TV shows and...
The Jetsons.
For like millennia, like there have been so many War of the Worlds, like so many people thought about these things and their imaginations ran wild, and then they put to paper, and then that became the inspiration for technology to catch up to the imagination that was already, existing previously. So I feel like in a lot of ways, writing, movies, art, it all kind of comes back to what is the imagination value. And if you let kids be kids and you give them the coloring book and you give them all the crayons, and if they want to color that sun purple, you let them color it purple. You don't limit them and say, no, suns are only yellow and orange. Like, you allow them... But there's
fuckers that are out there who are saying that.
You guys are bullshit. Just saying. They'll learn to see, and they'll see that physically that sun is only orange and yellow to the human eye and whatever. Actually, it's like a black dark hole, because you shouldn't stare at the sun, guys. Don't do it. But
you shouldn't, but definitely look at photos online.
But definitely look at photos, because once again, technology has caught up and is amazing.
Yeah, and I wish I could remember who quoted this, but he said, all children are artists, it's just some of us never grew up. I think that's the quote.
It's true. Something like that.
I've
seen it on Facebook. I feel like that's valid. There you go.
I feel like you've posted that on Facebook.
I mean, I share an awful lot of shit on Facebook. I rarely post about my own life. Like, people are like, what does your kid look like? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'll post
He
a
looks
photo
like
of
a
that.
baby.
He does.
Yeah.
He's real cute, but he's a baby, so whatever. But yeah,
Whatever.
I'm always sharing the memes.
What's his personality like?
Huh? What's his personality?
No, just
I don't know.
it's like, what's your baby like?
No, he's a baby. Don't ask me hard questions. I have no good answers.
No, he doesn't have a personality yet, but that's okay.
I mean, he's slowly developing one. He's kind of a little shit right now, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it anyway. He knows what no means, but he don't care. He's just he's in a rebellious pre-toddler phase.
You have like an angsty teenage toddler? Is that what you're telling me?
Pre-toddler.
I love this.
He's still a baby. He's still an infant until 2. And then that's the magic number for toddlerhood, apparently.
It's going to be really uncomfortable if your baby's Damon.
If my baby's Danish? What did you say?
Damon. The Satan baby.
I'm so confused. Chris, why are you weird? Good Lord.
I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to ask William to come on in here and tell us what Christmas Festivus art means to him. Chris.
All right. That was really funny. I'm sorry. Oh, man. No, so basically what I do is I am what I call myself a Christmas lights junkie. And
why are you laughing at that title? It's official. It's fucking real.
Okay, shut up, Chris.
no, hey, I gave that title to myself. I think it's pretty accurate. Like, I am just all things Christmas lights. I mean, I already like Christmas. It's pretty dope. But so basically what I do is I run this Facebook page and Instagram account just called Boise Christmas Lights, and I've been doing this for a few years now. This is actually my 5th year of kind of running this project. And what I do is I go around and I get to look at all of these awesome Christmas light displays that people put up, and I get to go see just what they look like. I write down information about them, and then I share it with others on like this Google map, and then I share it on social media. And the amount of stuff that I've seen, like the different homes and the different styles of lighting and the different kinds of music that people put, with their lights, I've seen it all. Like, it's crazy. It's really, really cool.
Do you get a chance to like go and talk to the people who put up the lights? Like, do you knock on doors and creepily be like, "Can you explain to me?"
What were you going for with 3 Jesuses?
Now, what I'm doing is, so I actually have like this private Facebook group that I set up as well. And I'm friends with several of these light show creators and decorators on Facebook. Yeah. And so, because sometimes they'll reach out to me through the page, and then we'll become friends on my personal Facebook account. And so then I decided to start up this group a couple years ago where people can kind of collaborate with each other. And if someone runs out of, a certain material, they can put it on the Facebook group, and then someone that lives a few miles down the road can, go run it to them and stuff. And so I'm like a moderator in that group. And so I do get to talk to a lot of these creators quite a bit about their shows, either, through Facebook or in person. So yeah, I do have a good working relationship with a lot of the people that do this.
That's awesome. And
yeah, it's really, really fun.
Do you get like, Facebook is the land of feedback. Do you get a lot of like answers from like, "Oh, well, thank you for doing this. You changed my life," etc. Why? Do you get any of that?
You changed my life.
I don't know. I'm just wondering. I was like, I've never run a Facebook group that's as popular as his is. So
yeah.
He's been in the newspaper, guys. It's a big fucking deal.
He's been published.
Yeah, I have been in the Idaho Statesman, the newspaper. They did a story on the whole project 2 years ago, and they've reran it every year since, and that was a lot of fun. I have been featured on Channel 6, the ABC station here in town, and that was for 2 years in a row. I'm in talks to potentially be on like Channel 7, the NBC station here, to kind of do another little interview, kind of like a behind the scenes things of what I do, and then what one of the light show creators does as well. And so yeah, I've been in like all sorts of media. But yeah, this Facebook page that I have, we just passed 3,700 something likes, 3,600 likes or something. Oh yeah, it's exploded. And so what we do is on the page we post pictures of lights, kind of the stuff that we find and we take pictures of and we share it. We post because some of these light shows that people do, they run their own Facebook pages or Facebook groups, and if they post anything that we want to share, we'll kind of share their stuff and kind of spread the word. The fan base for the page has been remarkably positive, very, very grateful. They love what I do. They love the map. They love the pictures. They love it all. By and large, people just really like what I do, and that just warms my little heart because it's just it's just awesome. It's really cool to see all the comments, and I get messages every once in a while like, hey, thanks for what you're doing. Some people give me donations to help cover gas costs, which is awesome because I've been running the project in the red for the first 3 or 4 years. And it wasn't until last year I started asking for donations, and people would come forward, and that helped a ton with paying for gas and stuff. So people love it. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Great. What would you say is the main thing you've learned about yourself since you started doing this?
So a little bit of a backstory, I guess, is when I had a good friend of mine come to town, and we just wanted to go see lights, and we just couldn't find a good place. There wasn't one central hub, I guess you could say. You could just Google it, and you could find something here, something there. You can kind of piece something together. And I'm just sitting there thinking, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I came up with a better way to do this. And so I learned that if you have an idea, just go for it and don't be afraid to share it with others. And this took off really quick. I remember, so I made the map. I shared it just on my personal Facebook page at first and just kind of called it good. And a lot of my friends liked it, and it kind of got a little bit of traction there. Then I posted it on our city's Reddit page, and I don't really post too much on Reddit, but I posted it on there to see if people there like it. And I posted it kind of late in the afternoon one day, and then the next morning I'm looking at Facebook, and one of the local radio stations, a big one, had posted check out this Christmas lights map, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if they started up their own thing. Cool. And what was that noise?
It was my ice machine. I was hoping that maybe no one picked up on it, but it sounds like my fridge took a shit.
No, it sounded like
that was so bad, Kris.
It sounded like someone fired a gun.
Yeah,
I'm real sorry.
It sounded like a gunshot.
I was like, I know William's talking, but is Kris okay?
I mean, I'm fine. My fridge is just now making so many noises. I'm real sorry, funny. Guys.
No, that's okay.
He's just dropping the kids off at the pool. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm just glad you're okay, and that wasn't a gun. It straight up sounded like gunfire.
It did,
guys.
Straight up. So, anyways, the next day, I see this Facebook post from a radio station that says, check out this Christmas lights map, and I'm like, oh, cool. Well, maybe they started something too. That's awesome. No, they had just linked to mine, and they didn't know who I was. I guess it had made the rounds, and it really gained a lot of traction. I'm like, well, guess I'm in this for the long haul. And so it just really started going from there. So yeah, this idea that I had turned out to be really popular. People loved it. And so yeah, I learned that if you have an idea like that, seriously, just go for it. Give it a shot. You're never going to know how it turns out, until you try. And then I've also found that a lot of people that go look at lights, they are doing it kind of with friends and family. And one of the things that, around the holidays, you can do lots of things with friends and family, but most of those things cost money. If you want to go ice skating, it's going to cost money. If you want to go, there's the Botanical Gardens here in town does their display, and it's really cool, and I think it's worth the money, but, a lot of people can't afford that if you have a big group of people there. And so going around and seeing lights is one of the very few free activities that you can do.
That is true.
Together.
You even have to pay for Santa, don't you? To take a
Do
picture
you
with
have
Santa?
to pay for Santa?
I think you have to pay for Santa.
God damn it,
sometimes
Santa.
they charge. Sometimes they charge for pictures. Now, here's what's funny. So some of these displays, like there's one in Nampa, and I think there's going to be one in Boise coming soon, that not only have they like decked out their house and all these lights, but they set up like a little storm or shed or something in their front lawn, and it's Santa's workshop, and they decorate it, and they have someone that actually like is Santa.
No.
And he will be there.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And he'll be there, and he will let the kids sit on his lap, and he'll talk to them, and he'll take pictures, and it's totally free.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's so much fun. And so like last year I did like a Facebook Live video with one of the with Santa at the house in Nampa, and it was a blast, and it was just really fun. And people saw that and like, whoa. And so it got really popular after that, apparently. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a free thing that you could do. I mean, the only thing I guess you have to pay is gas, but you'd have to pay gas for no matter what you do.
Especially in Boise. Let's be honest.
That's true here.
No public transportation in a reliable sense to speak of.
And you're going to pay for your parking unless you're only there for an hour. So.
Yeah. I said it, City of Boise. Don't at me, bro. Who's the mayor of Boise now? I haven't kept in touch. Is it still?
It's Dave Beater, but he lost the election a few days ago, and so it's going to be someone new.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the mayor for like I think 16 years. He won like 4 terms as mayor, and someone finally challenged him, and we're getting our first female mayor at the beginning of the new year.
Good job, Boise.
She seems pretty cool. I mean, I didn't really vote in the election because I don't live in the city of Boise anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting a new mayor next year.
That is so exciting. I don't remember the name of our mayor. I like him.
Well, I'm glad you like him. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I voted for him again. But
good.
I don't have a mayor. I have a government.
I was going to say you have something a little bit different, don't you?
That's all I got, guys. I got a government that tells me what I can and cannot do. That's all I got. Sorry.
I would argue that you have fucking paradise now. I've looked up photos of your new island, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's known as the Hawaii of Japan. Like, it is where people go to resort and where people go to, like, retire. So, I'm surrounded by beaches everywhere.
Is it? I know that it's further south. I know that Japan gets like winters, but does Okinawa get?
No, it is a balmy 70 degrees most of the time. It does rain. There's a rainy season, and I got here right at the start of it, which was really nice because rain is my absolute favorite seasonal item that happens. In Idaho, it's in the spring, but I will take a whole 2 months of it. Thank you. So I'm real stoked.
May I recommend monsoon season in India?
That's what it is. Yeah, it is monsoon season. That is the rainy season. That's its name. You are right. But yeah,
everyone else is like boarding up for a hurricane. You're like, this is like the most rain ever.
Oh, they're not boarding up. They just weather it. They're like, it'll happen. It's whatever.
Dude, just for typhoons? Not typhoons.
Oh, dude, typhoons are hurricanes. Typhoons are what they call hurricanes. They are the exact same things, and they're just like,
it's in the Pacific Ocean.
It's monsoon. It's it's gonna happen. It's typhoons. I'm like, okay,
I don't know why, but
all right. But all of the buildings are made out of cement. I don't know if most people know that. They do not build structures really out of wood, and if they are, it's the interior is wood, the outside is cement.
That's smart. That's like Florida. Like, that's why most of Florida, specifically Miami, I feel like no longer gives fucks about hurricanes. They shrug and is like, we repaint the pink buildings. We're good.
I do think that, for me personally, I think San Antonio takes the cake for the worst weather that I've ever experienced in my life.
It's true.
Listen, Linda. Sir, you came at the most shit time of year. First off,
that's the time I had.
I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I'm just saying, like, I feel bad for Will. So I moved moved here in May of 2016, and you visited me in August of 2016.
Yeah.
And I think that summer went down as like the hottest on record, and I felt so bad for you because frankly I've never seen someone sweat so much in my life. I was
it was so
worried.
She didn't mean to put you on blast on the podcast about your sweat habits. So Kris, apologize.
No, she's not wrong. It was so bad.
He was so sweaty. I'm not saying he should have been sweaty. It's the only way to keep his poor northern body at temperature.
I mean, it's rough.
I could be sitting on a couch in San Antonio and I will just break into a drenching sweat. Like, it was so bad.
I felt really bad.
I remember when the plane landed, okay? And you know that little, like, accordion thing that goes between the jetway and the plane?
Oh, yeah.
And it lets a little air seep through? Yes. So I was deplaning, and I felt like a gust of that, and, like, I immediately was like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be so bad.
And you flew in at like 8 o'clock at night, and it was still like 90 degrees.
It was dark, and it was very much at night, and it was so bad. And so I'm walking through the airport, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more humidity the further I get, into the terminal. And finally, I call you. I'm like, hey, where you at? And I tell you what door number or whatever I'm at, and I took one step outside because I was going to wait for you, and just this wall of humidity hit me. I'm like, nope. And so I turned right back around. I leaned up against a pole away from the door, and I like waited for you to like call me again or something. And then I'm like, then you said I'm here. So I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm building up the courage to go out there again. And the doors open, and it just nearly knocked me on my butt. It was so bad. I think that was probably the first thing I mentioned to you when I got in the car. Like, hi, this weather sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I will say though,
I think
not to one up you guys, but to one up you guys, like at least in the States, you can like wear muscle shirts or like spaghetti straps or strapless, whatever. You can wear things that don't have sleeves when it's hot. Here, you cannot. You have to wear layers of clothes and be in this level of modesty for the Japanese culture. They do not show their shoulders. It's not like a rigid
But they will
rule.
show their legs all day, man.
They'll show their legs all day. They'll show them legs for days. But you cannot like mix, so you can't wear like a strapless dress with a mini skirt. Like that, you won't see it. You won't see shoulders really at all. I have seen long sleeves the whole time I'm here, but that's because this is technically their winter and it's cold for them. Because I visited here in the summer like 4 years ago, and I died. I wore strapless everything, and it wasn't until we went to the local mall, which they've rebuilt it now, and it's like 5 stories tall, and the top is a restaurant, and it's like so fucking big. But we went to the mall, and everybody kept staring at me, and I was like, well, is it because I'm tall? Is it because I'm American? Is it because I'm white? No, it's because I was wearing a fucking strapless shirt. I mean, also that. But I was wearing a strapless shirt, and everybody kept looking at my shoulders, and it took me a while to figure it out. Because they won't address you, because they're polite little guys. Like, everywhere, everybody's super polite, super respectful. So when you do break a cultural norm, they, like, glare daggers at you. And that's their format of, like, being rude. So, yeah.
This is
like uber passive aggressiveness.
Yes,
or something
it took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong, like a long time. And then I was like, well, this is my whole wardrobe. I packed for a tropical island, so I also packed
and here we
for
are.
An American tropical island, not foreign government.
Yeah, you packed for Hawaii and Texas and Florida.
Yes, I did.
I think that like when Will came to visit, I was like nervous because I was like wearing like short shorts and like a crop top, and we went to Six Flags, and I was like, I think I'm scantily clad, and then like we get in, and I was like, no, Girl, you are fine.
There are bikinis walking around. You're like,
Yeah,
I'm good.
You're the most clothed here. And I think that section of your visit was probably where our friendship was tested the most, because it took us so long to get into Six Flags. And then when we got in,
I felt horrible.
Yeah, you're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, kill you. I need
Yeah, you're like, honestly, I want to go home. And I felt horrible because I kind of, like, I understood why. I hated, it took us, like, what?
It took us an hour to get there, an hour to get in through the line. And then
we were sitting 1 hour on the freeway, like, and they blocked the exit ramp because it was causing so many backups. So we had to, like, detour anyways. That was nuts. Yeah,
that was, like, it's funny in retrospect, but yeah, at the back of my head, I'm like, I fucking hate this. But then, like, we went on rides and it was totally fine.
Yeah, those rides were really fun.
Well, guys, I think we've gone on a little bit of a tangent.
I was about to say, we should pull back.
Oh, sorry.
We should pull back. It's been like 15 minutes.
I think we should close with us answering the same question. What would life be without art? And I'm going to start with a sweet old Billiam Higginsass over here. What would your life be without art? I mean, William Higginson.
Have you told Michael K about, like, when I call you or what your phone says? Because you have me as Higgins ass on your phone, right?
Oh yeah,
we talked about this. We have.
Okay, and it just says Higgins ass.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Guys, one second. Hey Siri, call Billiam. God damn it! I don't think you could hear it. God damn it! You fucking failure of the phone.
The worst build-up I think I've ever.
It's normally so much louder, but she's like, now calling Billiam Higgins ass.
Oh man,
makes me so happy.
So back to the question: what would life be without art? I think life without art would be just incredibly bland and boring. I find I'm a very visual person, right? So I have kind of an eye for detail. I really like if I'm just sketching for fun or whatever, I really do kind of pay attention to details, like shadows, do these colors clash and all that good stuff. And I feel like I respect that a lot, so. And I guess just art is just so all-encompassing. It doesn't have to be like just, a painting on a canvas or something like that. Like it's so encompassing. Now, if I go back to the Christmas lights thing real quick, I think that a lot of the decorators and the people that put together these light displays also have a good understanding of art and, what visually looks good as well. So, like, this year, for the first time ever, I finally, because I'm now living in an actual house instead of an apartment or a little townhouse, so I'm finally put Christmas lights on my own house.
This is so exciting!
Yeah,
life event.
So, because like the day after Christmas at Walmart, like I usually go and stock up because everything's half off, and so last year I stocked up on a lot of extra lights.
Ooh.
And so I finally decided to actually put them on a house this year. And so I was thinking, I did all this planning. I'm like, I want the multicolored ones here. I got some strings that are just green. I want them here. I got some strings that are just red. I want them here. I think that over the garage I have white and blue strands, and I think those complement each other really well. And so I understand that. And a lot of these people that do Christmas lights, they understand that as well. And so it just would be kind of boring, or either that or just complete anarchy without, because people have a good visual eye for that kind of stuff, and I respect that. I like that, and the people in the Christmas lighting community, they totally respect that as well. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I would say, talent in Boise for light decorating. That's something that I really miss down here. Like, people will put up a strand of lights, but I don't know, it's always shit like, we're putting lights on our palm tree. How quirky is that? And it makes me want to take a sewing needle and kind of just like jab it in my temple. Because, and look, I know it's aggressive.
She went far with that. Okay, Death by sewing needle. Okay.
I know it's their aesthetic, but like I genuinely hate like lights on palm trees and like Santa in a Hawaiian shirt and like in cowboy boots. Like it gives me an aneurysm because that's not what I grew up with, thinking of like, oh, Christmas is kind of a joke because there's no winter down here. And
gotcha.
Like up in Boise, it's so much more of an event because like the weather changes and it snows, and then that makes the lights more exciting,
magical, and there's like a reverence. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
They always look better in the snow. Absolutely, I love it when it snows.
Yeah, it just doesn't say the same message when you're going around at 70 degrees and the lights are on top of like Texas crabgrass.
Sorry, decorate rocks down
Texas
there.
Or it's grass, but like,
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Michael, what would your life be without art?
Well, I feel like all life would, as William said, be like this weird, voidless pit of white or black. It would be real sad. But also, I feel like having a transcription of all of these visual things or verbal things, so the writing, the audio, the visual, like having all of these presence of art is so important to a culture that becomes its record of existence. And when, like Pompeii gets wiped out, it doesn't really get wiped out because a lot of that stuff was preserved in the ash. And so we still have a glimpse into their society and their life and their culture because of those remnants of art. Also the mummified bodies, but mostly the art.
Yeah, it's like, I think most people are talking about the corpses.
There's that. But there's so many frescoes and there's so much tile work in that culture. And so there's all of these
perfectly preserved.
But a lot of how they lived, we know from, yes, their corpses, but also the depictions that were laid down in their artwork. And so I think that there's a huge presence for that sophistication of a record. There is a record of culture. There is a worldly existence that was created and was kind of honored in a visual way. And without that, we don't have a past. Without that, we don't have culture. And if we do have culture, it exists in a way that doesn't recognize other cultures. Like it doesn't examine other cultures through those visual, audio, whatever means. And I think that would be an extremely sad life. So having the education, having the entertainment, having the escapism, or the increase of imagination, I feel like all that is super vital to creating a culture and kind of keeping that in a capsule for later.
I like that. These are both good questions. Or good answers. Good answers.
Good eggs.
Guys.
Kris.
Good eggs.
Kris, why? Why is art... I even forgot the question now. Fuck.
You're nailing it.
I'm such a good co-host.
Kris, why is art... What would life be without art? Oh, thank you, Michael K. I would love to answer this question for you.
Leave a review telling Michael K. how great she is at being a co-host. I appreciate it. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, way to bring the heat.
Yep. Like, we already have one. It's like, I wish I understood more of the verbiage that Kris said. And then the next review is going to be like, I wish Michael K. had longer short-term memory.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't have very good long-term memory either, though, so joke's on you. So, anyway, Kris, why?
So, for me, I agree that it's definitely a form of record keeping. And to me, my personal life without art, it would be an absence of my personality. Like, I look around my house and first off, I think shit in frames is art, regardless of what it is. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, oh, we don't need art, fuck your family photos. You take those down.
Sorry.
Jeez.
You're no longer, you think you don't give a shit about art, take down your photos of your dogs.
You're right. Keep going. I like this. Yeah. I like this, Kris. Keep going, Kris.
Yeah,
this is a hot take right here.
Kristen hates dogs and family photos.
It takes all kinds. It takes all kinds on the review system. But keep going, Kris.
Yes.
I'm like it. You're on fire.
Yeah, so for me, I've made this joke that like color is 50% of my personality. And I think a lot of that goes with art, and I love mixing textures and I love mixing patterns. I have a green couch with like a rainbow oriental rug and like a purple accent chair, and I've got like this pom-pom rainbow pillow next to like a yellow pillow, and it's definitely like going into weird ant mode, which I'm 100% cool with. But yeah, like my life is aesthetics. I don't buy shit because I think it's like going to be good. I mean, I do buy shit because I think it's going to be good, but it's like I said with like the toaster. All toasters at this point
are not created equal.
They've hit their peak toasting technology. If you want to get a KitchenAid that's mint green, fucking do it, man, because it's going to go with the rest of your kitchen. And so for me, like whenever I'm shopping for something, I'm not just looking at like, okay, is this the best thing for me? Is this the peak of technology? And then at the end of the day, I'm going to choose, like, if it's close enough, I'm going to choose the thing that fits my personality more. Mm-hmm. And that is basically my entire home. I didn't buy a couch because I just needed a couch. I shopped forever because I wanted this couch to say something specific. And if I didn't have any of this, I like that you go into my home and then you immediately know who I am. Mm-hmm. And then without that, I don't think people would know that. They wouldn't know that about my office. They wouldn't know, without how I dress, they wouldn't know who I am, because I feel like that is half of who I am. And then I open my mouth and people are like, that's very confusing. So, yeah, that's what my life would be. A unpersonified human with like a couch that she just bought in like beige.
For sitting only.
Yep, I bought this couch because I needed a couch. It's beige. I bought this coffee table because I needed a coffee table, and it's a coffee colored. I don't.
That's perfect, Kris. You did so good. That's such a good question. I'm proud of you.
You
nailed it.
And you have a good taste in furniture. Like the couches that I've crashed on at your place have been very comfortable. So
hell yeah! Did you never crashed on my new couch? Did you?
No, I actually don't think so.
It is also pro-napping. I used to have a red couch that was pro-napping. I now have a green couch that's pro-napping. And what I like about the green couch is that I can pull off the cushions, and it kind of is like futon shape, which is nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
This was a wonderful episode on why art matters. Especially couches.
Thank you.
Couches are important.
Couches are important. Art is important.
Art is important. Buy all the art.
Buy all the art. We know this episode is a little bit longer than normal, so thank you for sticking it out.
Thank you.
Also, I really hope that you enjoyed our 2-part gift guide. We worked our asses off on that.
So fun.
You can find those lists on Instagram. At Prismacasters. It is also officially on the website prismacast.com under show notes. It's not going to be hard to find because it's the only show notes that I've uploaded.
Won't be difficult. You can do it. Yay.
I worked so hard on this, my blood, sweat, and tears.
And she has a full-time job. So there's that.
I'm looking at the gift guide right now. It looks really good.
Thank you. Oh, you're so
very
kind.
well done.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff you can still buy post Black Friday. I know we advertise this as like a Black Friday thing. Mm-hmm. You can buy shit whenever you want.
It's true.
I put some of that stuff on like my own list, like those brushes, aqua brushes I have on there.
Which are ridiculously awesome. Everybody should have one. Go buy yourself one.
Yes, yeah. And if you want to see, I'm hoping that will volunteer a link to his lovely Boise Christmas lights.
Yes,
and
please.
also maybe volunteer a photo of his first time decorating his house?
Yay!
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Would like to take a moment to thank our audio tech William Higginson for mastering this episode. A huge thank you to Joseph McDade for our podcast track, Drifting Corners. And thank you for having listened to another rousing podcast from Kris and Michael K. We were thankful to have you for another week, and if you hit that subscribe button, we'll catch you in another 2. If you have thoughts to share, you can email us at prismacasters@gmail.com. To follow our visual show notes, search out Prismacasters on Instagram. And to get general updates, view content, and otherwise just get our cosmic lowdown, visit our website at www.prismacast.com. Don't forget to both rate and review our burgeoning show wherever you found our podcasts so others can find us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye!